Spider-Man and X-Men, Arcade's Revenge. A Marvel game for the Super Nintendo. Is it good or is it bad? Well, one way to get a good idea of it is just to look up front at that right there. Now, it seems in the past years, LJN has kind of developed its own rap as far as making less than lackluster, mediocre games. And that's pretty much been made popular by James Roth, otherwise known, or better known as, the Angry Video Game Nerd. Now, I got this game when I was 5 years old for Christmas, and still to this day it's extremely hard. Knowing now about LJN, it's good to know that me being a child wasn't the sole reason of why this game was so difficult. But how much better can I handle it now? Well, I guess one of the biggest things is to see if this game actually does suffer from the LJN. Let's go ahead and pop it in and see how it handles.
So let's start off with the plot. The game begins with a comic-style presentation of Spider-Man swinging above the streets like he likes to do. He's concerned about the X-Men that have been going missing. As it continues, he sees Gambit get captured by a van with a giant vacuum on it. Spider-Man recognizes the van as belonging to the dreaded Arcade. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry, my comic book savvy isn't that good. I'm not gonna lie. And that's about it.
Now, I'm not expecting anything super deep, but that's kind of lean for a Super Nintendo game. That's pretty lean for an NES game. But I guess it gets straight to the point. Yeah, I'm not going to start bashing it just because of the storyline. Too easy.
So you start off playing as Spider-Man, and your goal is to get all of these flashing tokens. I don't know what they're actually called, so I'm just going to call them tokens. Why do you have to get them? Well, the only way to exit the stage is to collect all of these tokens so the door at the end of the level will open up, allowing you to exit the stage. From what I can tell, you're in a city. Makes sense. The sky in the background is real psychedelic. All those purples. It always gave me a real eerie vibe as a kid. So anyways, there's a certain order that you have to collect these tokens in. Your spider sense has a violent electric crackle that cues when you're close to one of these tokens. This order is always the same. You'll end up getting real familiar with it eventually, but more on that later. The color palette is a little strange. Not bad, mind you, but once you notice the bricks in the background of the one building that you can go into are green, it's kind of hard to unnotice them. But what really stuck out of my head ever since I was a kid is in the subsurface area of this level, the background looks just like a tiled bathroom wall that's in a school. So once you beat the first level, you find the 4 X-Men that are featured in this game shackled to the wall with a giant monitor of Arcade above them. He announces his intentions in a fashion very similar to that of a carnival announcer. I've never seen Doctor Who, but I imagine this is more or less what he looks like. So after this, you can choose between the 5 heroes. You get a choice between Spider-Man, Cyclops, Wolverine, Storm, and my personal favorite, Gambit. The screen will give you a bio on each of the heroes, which I actually kinda liked. Those blue circles at the bottom of the screen are actually the levels that need to be completed by each character, and each character has 2 levels to complete. Easier said than done, however. Let's give Wolverine a try first. Warning, anyone that may be scared of clowns or any clown-related entities needs to sack up right now because there's going to be a shitload of clowns and clown-related entities within the entirety of Wolverine's level. So Wolverine is themed in the likes of a clown-infested circus. Enemy roll call is a couple types of clowns, marching toy soldiers, mobster jack-in-the-boxes, World War II bomber planes, buzzsaws, and so on. Wolverine is fairly diverse, so can't really complain. You could bring out and retract his claws, punch, duck, slash, and do an uppercut slash. This is a level where platforming is almost a constant. It's a level where instead of moving to the right, you have to go to the top. As you ascend, there are certain areas of the level that are blocked off by walls that are the same as the platform with tear marks in them. Couldn't figure this out when I was a kid, but when you get to these points, you have to uppercut these parts with your claws. Some sections have booby traps, whether it be the aforementioned buzzsaws or bombs that are similar to other blocks that are in the level. There are some frustrating situations where the bombs are unavoidable given the terrain that correlates with them, so you will take damage requiring you to get life. How do you get life? It's not too hard to figure out given the little bit of experimentation that begins with players when playing these older games. So you'll have to kill the mobster jack-in-the-boxes by punching them instead of using your claws, which will almost always yield a heart for health. Once you get to the end of the level, you'll have a boss fight. I'm not sure who this guy is supposed to be, but if I had to guess, I think his name is Scorpion. But Scorpion is supposed to be green, not blue, right? This boss fight is kind of random, and the first time you get here, you would be caught completely by surprise and killed almost immediately. The time in between taking hits is extremely low, and you can take damage almost repeatedly. Also, there is no health for the boss. I'm still not sure how much health the boss has, or how much damage you do each time you land a hit.
Man, this is hard. He doesn't flinch or give any kind of opening. Forget it. I'm gonna try someone else.
So Storm Stage is entirely swimming underwater and traversing hazardous obstacles. You have to avoid touching these bolts of electricity that come and go, along with fish, scuba divers with harpoons, squids that shoot electricity, bombs. Ugh. You can get the water temple and throw it out the window with this place. Your health is different from the other characters, as Storm's health is dependent solely on how much air she has. In that regard, it's kinda cool that you can surface to get more air to help keep you from dying when encountering enemies or obstacles. To progress through the stage, you have to blow up these water valves as you continue through the level. Blowing these up will raise the water level, which is the only way to make progress. I actually think this is kinda clever level design, considering it deviates from the normal means of just running to the right until you reach the end. However, what goes against that is that you'll have to learn some means of remembering the level. If you don't take every chance to refill your air, you're going to die. This goes back to learning where the water valves that need to be blown up are, and learning to get to air before blowing up the valves. There's another way to get air simply by finding giant clams in the stage that release air bubbles. By keeping Storm near where the air escapes, Storm can catch the air bubbles, which replenishes her air. The biggest problem with this level is Storm herself. Her sprite is so much larger than the other characters in the game. She's always horizontal, which can get annoying when you're trying to send a shaft, but can't because one little pixel on her toe catches the corner of a wall, keeping her from moving forward through her course. Also, with the electric traps mentioned beforehand, the ones that discharge vertically are almost guaranteed to hit you because of the short time in between firing, combined with Storm's abnormal sprite length. It also doesn't help that almost everything you destroy detonates upon destruction, which can cause you damage and potentially kill you. This level has got to be one of the easiest out of all the other levels though, only due to its pacing. You never really feel pressured to hurry, and therefore all you need is just a little patience in order to get through the level. Okay, that gots to be the end, with this razor wheel deal that shoots eels. Shouldn't be too hard to get past. It keeps shooting animals at me. Damn it. Screw it, I'm just gonna shoot it.
I did it! Oh, man. That was hard. Okay, let's see how tough her second level is, though.
Well, the second level is definitely more difficult. A lot of that is due to the more open-ended style of this level, and a few new enemies. Unfortunately, I died in this level on my last life and got a game over. It's at this point that I should mention that if you lose all your lives and get a game over, you have to start from the beginning all over again. No continues, no saves, no passwords, nothing. If you're going to beat this game, it has to be all in one run without getting a game over. Otherwise, you start from scratch. You know, these days, games get a lot of flack because of constant hand-holding, and a death in game or a game over really isn't a penalty any worse than just a little bit more time spent getting back into the game. That being said, I'm sure a lot of gamers can appreciate this game's level of disciplining the player for making mistakes. And I'd love to agree if it wasn't for the game's requirement of patience and pacing, along with level memorization. The only way to get good at this game is to keep trying and get familiar with the hazards of each level, but since getting a game over sends you all the way back at the start of the game, you have to burn through the first level every single time that happens, and this is why I mentioned earlier that you'll get real familiar with this first level and the order that you need to get the tokens in. Anyways, on to Cyclops. His has to be the most open-ended of all. There's only one true path you can take, from what I can tell from playing at least, and multiple other routes that lead to dead ends or just circle back to where these routes started. You're in a mine shaft, and Cyclops gets to have the most frustrating levels. Not only is it non-linear, but there are multiple leaps of faith that you'll have to take, and of course this takes trial and error, which will result in a game over several times at least. The parts of the level that can't be traversed by platforming have to be traversed by taking a slow-moving minecart, and if you miss the minecart and land on the cart tracks, you get instantly killed by electrocution. I never understood this. Are there electric cart tracks? Why do they have to be electrified? You could be doing so good to be making progress in the stage just to die from slightly missing the minecart just because you didn't land where it wanted you to. That makes the enemies in this level almost useless. It would be hard enough without them. Then you have bombs on the tracks, random drones that fly in, falling stalactites, and for some reason these yellow Gumby golem things totally freaked me out the first time I saw it. They easily do the most damage out of any of the hazards throughout the level, except for, of course, the insta-kill cart tracks. They throw stones, but the worst thing about them is that you can't kill them. Every time you shoot at them, the lasers deflect and change purple and hit you. So basically you have to just manage to platform around them. This level is hard, and I never got past this particular part. So, on to the next one. Gambit's level starts you off in a bullet hell while getting chased by a giant boulder with spikes. Talk about overkill. So essentially you're on a time limit since the boulder is constantly chasing you through the level. However, you can send the boulder back by grabbing the green balls. You wouldn't know that by the sheer number of things there are to collect in the stage though. You get all these stars, which I don't know if they're important for anything more than just your score. And then your heads-up display blocks the top part of the stage, which can affect your judgment on your platforming as well as judging the enemy's movements. You got chess pieces, pawns, knights. I think these are kings with boxing glove missiles. Normal stuff. Gambit has a limited number of cards, so you can't just spam them or you'll end up defenseless. After killing some enemies, you can recover those cards to refill some of your ammunition if you get to them in time. One thing that can bother you is the arc of the cards when thrown. Not so much when using the cards on the enemies, but at these few parts where there are these little orange tile type barriers that you have to use your cards in order to make them disappear and continue the stage. However, the positioning of Gambit can be confusing in a small constricted area when this is needed. You can start panicking with the fact that you start to realize that it's harder than it should be to hit these stupid tiles, never forgetting that there's a giant boulder with spikes slowly coming towards you.
Frustration. You know what? I'm gonna try Wolverine's level again. Just gotta go through Spider-Man's first level. Again.
This game is so unforgiving. I keep thinking that it wants to teach patience, but then it doesn't reward any patience you put into it. Here at the end again. Is it Scorpion? Is it Apocalypse? They're both blues, so maybe they're the same. I don't know. What? I killed him? How? I beat the level! Wolverine's second level is mostly running from Juggernaut, while cutting down anvils and weights that are hung from ropes to slow and possibly hurt him as he pursues you. Whilst doing that, you have to take care on avoiding more bombs that match the floor, as well as bombs and pies that are being thrown from clowns on higher ledges that are out of your reach. I just want to take a second and ask, do you know what Wolverine's greatest weakness is?
Let's go, Bob.
Lava? Magneto's ability to bend and fold metal? Jean Grey tugging and pulling at his heartstrings? No. It's a pit full of balls! No, really, take a look. Why? I'm sorry, but I can't help but notice that one of the most robust and rugged tough guys in the Marvel Universe dies instantly, falling into a bunch of beach balls. It just catches me off guard. I'll be honest, I thought at the very most that it would do is just hurt me. I thought it was meant to be there to just trip me up while Juggernaut tries to catch me, but to die instantly? Why this? It could have been just a normal pit. There are pits in the level everywhere too, so no excuses on why this is a thing. Wolverine's greatest weakness is dodgeball.
This is ridiculous. Ugh. So much for trying to beat Wolverine's second level. I guess the only other hero to try is Spider-Man. Again.
So in case you haven't got enough Spider-Man by this point, he, like all the X-Men, also has 2 levels that need to be completed after the initial first stage. So this makes Spider-Man the most used character in the game. That being said, you better get real good at them web-slinging skills. Right off the bat you see a new enemy. Some sort of not Iron Man with a welder's mask throwing an uncooked duck that explodes on impact. These guys only throw straight down and straight to either the left or the right. They have a very easy to follow pattern, and you think that would make them easy to go up against, and I guess they are, but not without some trial and error first. As Spider-Man climbs a wall, he's fairly slow. You never would have thought of his climbing speed as slow until having to pass these guys' duck bombs. You have to take out these guys as you make your way through the level in order to continue on through. They block your way by constantly obstructing your path by either physically being in the way or just throwing these things at you. The sound effect used for the explosions of the projectiles from these guys are real heavy on the ears. It's like banging a metal garbage can over and over. I think I failed to mention this up until now, but one more unfair advantage against you that's given to the enemies in this game is that they can and will hit you with projectiles that they use off screen. So more level memorization is required, but not because of the layout of the stage, but because of needing to know where the enemies are before you can actually see them. Oh, these little spider medals? What are they for, you ask? Well, not a damn thing other than your score. Also, these iron bars that are part of the construction and that are found throughout the stage hurt you. So trying to pull off a trick shot with your webs to hit these guys with the welding masks by jumping from and then steering back to a wall can be an anxiety attack if these bars are around beneath you. Now, health isn't really a problem in this level. Or no, wait, yes it is. One thing about this level is that it has more hearts for life than any other stage. Or rather, any other stage that I've seen. But for whatever reason, these hearts give you far less health than healing items in other levels of the game. See for yourself. Getting a heart here gives you way more health than getting a heart in this stage. I don't know what the purpose is for this kind of reasoning. It's not practical, I can tell you that. It's no different than just having 1 or 2 hearts that give you far more health as opposed to just a bunch of hearts that only give you a fraction of what you'd expect. Eventually you get to Electro. He's not very difficult actually, and the real challenge only comes from getting to this part of the stage and making sure you have enough health to take a hit or two. If you can manage that, then you'll be fine. Surprisingly enough, he isn't the end of the level like in Wolverine's case. Now the hard part is actually progressing past this area. You gotta get here by swinging from this platform, and to get to this platform you have to swing from this first platform. Pulling off the right foot placement of where you're supposed to swing from is easier said than done, however. It took me 2.5 minutes just to get past this part alone. So then after that, you continue forward, some more platforming and enemies as expected, and then Electro again. Why do I have to fight him twice? Oh well, he's actually not that hard, so this shouldn't be too much of a big deal, and maybe this is the end of the level. Uh-huh. Wow. Well, I guess it's still not the end. This is so stupid. I can't believe I managed to actually make it this far. This game just keeps pushing me. Okay. Spider sense tingling. This has got to be the end of the level. This has got to be it.
I hate this game. This game is a hard game, and I've played some hard games. I couldn't beat it as a kid, and I still can't beat it today. But the difficulty isn't from fair challenge, it's from inconsistencies and taking damage, just unforgiving game overs. Unless it's for a laugh, I can't recommend this game at all. Now, the only good thing I can say about the game, other than the graphics, because I actually personally like the graphics, is the music is freaking awesome. LGN should have actually stuck with music composition rather than just publishing video games. It's a shame that the rest of the game can't measure up. I almost can't stomach putting it back on the shelf with the rest of my games. That being said, I'm gonna have to light this bad boy up. It's not real fire. It's digital fire. There's nothing there right now. There's nothing there.